Quest for Camelot was a 1998 animated musical film that was mainly about Merlin, King Arthur, and the Excalibur. It still remains one of the most underrated Warner Brothers animations to date. Today we are going to see every character who featured in the film and also hear how they sounded like. Then we shall get to see the beautiful cast members responsible for the voices and how old they've gotten in 2025. And we shall start with King Arthur. He was the king and founder of Camelot, and also the head of the Round Table in the kingdom. He became the king after drawing the Excalibur from the stone, and was a young king known to be a capable leader with the help of Merlin the wizard. He ruled the kingdom for more than a decade, but his archenemy known as Ruber started plotting against him and his rule, and wanted to overthrow Arthur and possess the Excalibur for his own sinister plans. All he wanted was to give Camelot peace and prosperity, but as we know by now, where there is hope, there will also be an antagonist who will always ruin your life or die trying. This good king was voiced by Pierce Brosnan. Garrett was a hermit living in the Forbidden Forest, and was seen trying to help a girl called Kaye in her quest to retrieve the Excalibur. Before moving to the Forbidden Forest, Garrett lived in Camelot and always wanted to be a knight. But sadly one day there was a fire in the stables where he worked, and he rushed to free the horses. An accident happened in the stables, and it led to him being completely blind. He became hopeless and moved to the forest to live alone before meeting with Kaye and falling in love with her. He turned into a loner and a pessimist, and did not like associating with people as much. And in spite of his blindness, Garrett was a very skilled and capable fighter and mostly used a wooden staff which he used both as a weapon and as a walking stick. His other senses like hearing and smell also grew sharper and precise, and he used them to his advantage in hunting and surviving the forest. He was voiced by Cary Elwes. The main antagonist in the show was Ruber. He was a dark knight and an ex-member of the Round Table which King Arthur led. He was once a trusted knight of King Arthur but was later corrupted by the greed of power. After trying to take the life of King Arthur, he was banished from Camelot, and always swore revenge on Arthur and all of his generals. After 10 years, Ruber had already gathered a swarm of barbaric followers to support him and his cause of taking over Camelot. He was a very strong person with near immunity to physical pain. He was also a very ruthless fella in combat, and had the power to take down several trained knights on his own. This guy was voiced by Gary Oldman. And now to Kaye, who was a brave lady and the daughter of a man called Lionol. Ruber took the life of her father and also took her mother captive. She escaped to Camelot and tried to figure out how she could help her mother. On her journey, she became braver and strong-willed with the mission of becoming a knight just like her late father. She behaved more like a tomboy from the clothes she wore to how she rode horses and participated in sword fights. Even with her life falling apart, she held her spirits high and always tried to figure out how she could help herself and the ones she loved. She was voiced by Jessalyn Gilsig. Devon and Cornwall are the two-headed dragon who do not like each other and always wished that they could part ways so they could handle things on their own. Unlike other dragons, they could not fly or breathe fire, and this made them outcasts among the other dragons. They joined Kaye and Garrett on the mission to find the Excalibur. Devon was the slim dragon while Cornwall was the short, fat dragon. If you watch Dragon Tales, they were kind of like Zack and Wheezy. Devon was voiced by Eric Idle while Cornwall was voiced by the late Don Rickles, both of whom were great voice actors. Sir Lionol was among the knights of the Round Table and the father of Kaye. He was also a good friend of King Arthur, and he actually lost his life at the beginning of the film while trying to protect the king from Ruber. In his early life, he helped King Arthur in building Camelot from scratch and always stood by his side in the darkest of days. He mostly spent his time in Camelot with the king, but would go back to his home to visit his wife and his beautiful daughter Kaye. He supported her dream of one day becoming a knight like him, and was also the one who trained Garrett to fight after he ran away from Camelot. He was not seen much since he perished at the beginning of the film, and was a knight who was voiced by Gabriel Byrne. Aiden was the supporting avian character that helped Garrett after he lost his sight. He was a loyal falcon who used chirps and screeches as signals to help Garrett in avoiding dangerous places or alerting him on dangerous attacks. He was known for specifically his orange-yellow stomach and silver wings that glinted in the sun. We first saw him in the scene where Merlin summoned him to rescue the Excalibur from the Griffin. After the sword got dropped in the forest, he went looking for it, and that was where he met Garrett. He was a kind and loyal helper to Garrett, and was also known for his bravery and knowledge. He was first Merlin's pet and then Garrett's helper, and the bird-like sounds he produced were made by a legendary voice actor known as Frank Welker. Lady Juliana was Kaye's mother and the wife to the late Lionol. She lived with Kaye and their servants in the farm while her husband was mostly on royal duties in Camelot. And even after her husband's demise, she continued living in the farm with her daughter. She mostly argued with Kaye concerning her dreams of one day becoming a royal knight, because she did not want her to end up like her father. She mostly wanted Kaye to be a farmer like her, but she would always refuse. But after Juliana was captured as a captive by Ruber, Kaye escaped to the forest to find a way of helping her mother and taking the Excalibur back to King Arthur. She was voiced by Jane Seymour. Beak mostly behaved like an antagonist but would later turn to the good side at the end of the film. He was a cowardly rooster who always flirted with other hens before getting beaten up by his wife. He worked for Ruber, not because he wanted to, but because he was afraid of what Ruber would do to him and his wife if he refused to help him. But later, after Ruber caged his wife, he had enough and decided to work with Kaye on her attempts to stop Ruber's control. He was once a normal white rooster who was later merged with an axe by Ruber and became a weapon he could use on others. Voiced by Jaleel White. The Griffin was Ruber's pet and enforcer. He was a large and powerfully built mythological creature with glowing green eyes and raven-black cat-like pupils. His appearance was so scary both to us the viewers and the people of Camelot, and was a bloodthirsty and aggressive creature who always followed Ruber's orders. He was the one who stole the Excalibur for Ruber before losing it in the forest. He loved eating dragon meat, and did not mind feasting on anyone who came in his way while on missions. Just like a bird of prey, he could fly, had a sharp beak and strong claws, and also had brutal strength that could take a building down. He was voiced by Bronson Pinchot. And finally Merlin, who was a wizard and an elderly advisor to Arthur. He was iconic with his long beard and a dark green robe together with his wooden staff. He was the one who sent Aiden the falcon to rescue Excalibur from Griffin, and was also known to heal the wounds of the knights using magic.